Hey beautifuls, Hannah here. I have got a strong, important and powerful, potent message to come through to you guys today about the most important and powerful thing that you can do to amplify, increase and know your intuition, right? I think in today's society and especially what's going on in the world, it's really tricky to decipher, to stay clear in what your intuition is, what somebody else is. We get cloudy, confused, and all the pieces, right? So I've got an important message to speak to you guys about for this incident of your intuition. So hello. I'm at my favorite place in the entire world, the beach. And I feel better just being here all the time. I think I need to live here. All right, I'm just going to share this and then we shall dive straight into this most important, powerful thing that you can do to amplify your intuition. Super, super, super needed in today's society with what's going on in the current world. Yay, the beach, exactly. Exactly that. All right, let me know how you guys are feeling. Or if this is your first time to my live stream, please let me know where you are from around the globe. So freaking awesome that we can connect like this. So awesome. Best thing ever. Best thing ever, because you're my tribe and you get it. And I don't feel so alone. All right, you guys will let me know if it's too windy, right? Okay, so this piece took me quite some time to understand, to realize, and to even acknowledge what was going on. So who has been in a place, in a situation, in an event, in a family situation, friend situation, partner situation, any situation at all, a conversation even, right? And you have spoken, like you're just doing you, right? You're just doing you, you're just speaking away, you're blah, 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 and usually you're happy and you're like, da, 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 and you're just doing your thing, right? And you're speaking. And then all of a sudden, the energy totally changes. Now, that person that you've been speaking to and been having a ball and time of our life or whatever, we're just doing life, right? And you're just being you. And then all of a sudden, it's like they flick and they change. Now, different people, different scenarios, different things can happen, right? But let me just rattle off a few of them. So that changes. All of a sudden that person kind of closes up, or you feel the energy change it, right? And you're just like, oh, and you're also stop because you feel the energy change too. But they either close up, clam up and disappear, like all of a sudden, you're like, what just happened? Or they kind of turn around and they fight back at you. They like throw stuff at you. They like will say, stop talking about that. Or why did you say that? Or why are you speaking like that? Or you don't know what you're talking about. Or you're crazy. Or like, has that ever happened to you? Right? And Leanne said that just happened recently. And I see you guys from around the world. Welcome, welcome. So yeah, if that like is just, like they just flick and change, right? And then they might say, oh, that's not right. Or, if you're just having a conversation and, and you're so clear in yourself, like that, that that's what it is. Like you didn't even think twice about it, right? And this is part of being an empath. Christina says yes all the time. Yeah, this is important, guys, right? Because this is part of being an empath, being an intuitive healer, being a sensitive soul, like whatever label you want to put on yourself. You are highly intuitive, right? Like, give me some love hearts if you know that you're highly intuitive, but maybe you doubt yourself all the freaking time, right? And so what's really important in this space is that you understand that, right? Now, what has happened in that space when somebody has, like you've just been doing you and doing the conversation, then all of a sudden it flicks and changes, or like over a period of time, like they just don't want to like be around you anymore or whatever. And then you're like, what just happened, right? What actually happens? This dog's walking around me. What has actually happened in this space? And again, this took me quite some time to understand. You have to understand that just by being your natural, happy-go-lucky, talking away, just doing you self, right? You are picking up people's subconscious. You are picking up energies that normal people do not pick up. You are sensing what is hidden behind the veil. You pick up everything. Okay, Ashley says, yes, I feel like that's me right now. Yeah, this is so important. Okay, what I'm about to tell you is so freaking important. This will change your freaking life. Okay, like it changed my life. When I realized what was going on, when I actually realized what was happening, my entire life changed for the better. Somewhat a little bit confronting, but at the same time, I was like, oh, fuck, it's not me, right? Ashley says, I do pick up everything. Okay, this is so important, okay? When you're in a situation, it could be with a mentor, it could be with a friend, it could be with a work situation, it could be with somebody on the street. Like, you have to remember that you pick up so much, okay? And if you're in a conversation, mid-conversation, and then it changes and they turn around and they say, no, that's not right, or they climb up and disappear, or whatever happens, what you have just done, okay, there's two types of people here, okay? Scenario one is what you have just done is you, as your sensitive empath self, have just picked up what's going on in the subconscious that person is not yet aware of. It is so deep and buried under their emotions, it's not conscious for them. We pick up the unconscious of people. Like, that's what we do, especially if we're in a conversation with them, especially if we're just going, oh, what's that about? Oh, that's weird. And we might not even have confirmation, and we might like just get information, or we're just like, oh, like, you know, and then we might just say it, and that person's like, no, that's not right. What are you talking about? Like, that's no, like, you're crazy, or that's not what it is. Like, of course that's not what it is, Hannah. Like, you're wrong. That's what some people will say, right? I do psychic readings to some people, and they're like, this doesn't happen very often because I get very open, willing people who are willing to and ready to work on their stuff. But, you know, in the early days, some people would just be like they wouldn't say a word, which I know I've picked up some deep stuff. Sometimes it's too deep for them, and they're like, well, that didn't really make any sense, but thanks anyway. Like, they don't really voice that, but you can tell that's how they feel. But then later on, it starts to click into place, and they're like, oh, that's what she's talking about. So this happens on an everyday basis. You have to remember that you are so psychically attuned, so psychically aware. You pick up all this stuff, okay? You pick up somebody's subconscious and unconscious stuff that they are not aware of. Now, if they are not conscious people in general, if you're new to my space, I don't like using labels, okay? I don't like using labels. However, when I'm explaining something, it's easier to use labels, and sometimes it might sound like I'm being very judgmental, but it's just a way of explaining the energy that's going on right now, okay? So I don't like labels because it keeps people in a box, it keeps humanity trapped. I don't like labels, but when I'm explaining something, I will use labels. So this type of person, number one, is a very unconscious person, okay? They will turn around and tell you, you're wrong, don't talk like that. What are you talking about? No, that's not the issue. What are you going on about? Like, and change the subject or something like that, okay? That person, you've just picked up that. Now, what can happen in that situation if you're not conscious that you just picked up their stuff, right? If you're not conscious of that, what then happens, and this is why people get lost in their intuition, is because they like listen to this person's like, that's not right, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, okay, yep. And then there's confusion. Because what you've done, right, I always say if you're confused, you're fused. And you're taking on their stuff. You're trying to swallow their truth. Remember we talk about throat chakra consciousness, to take on their truth, right? So that person's like, no, that's not right. And you're like, oh, okay. And then you're confused inside because you're like, oh, but I was just talking. We were just having a conversation. What just happened there, right? But that's what's happening, is that you picked up something deeper that they weren't even conscious of as the issue. Now, that person will say, that's not right. You'll be confused, and you'll either just keep going in the relationship and the conversation, and you'll just be confused, and you'll be a mess in what your truth is, right? And usually you just go, you live life just going around, just being people pleaser mode almost in a way, because you're not realizing, number one, that you picked up their subconscious. Number two, you took on their truth and listened to what was their truth was, rather than you trusting yourself and what just happened. And then you keep going in the relationship. Now, you can keep going in the relationship. It's not like it's bad or anything like that. But if it turns abusive and that constantly happens, and they constantly, like, it's like, well, then there's a line with abuse, right? So person number two, okay, in this scenario, person number two is that you pick up their stuff, whether it's a full client session and you're doing readings or whatever client session, and you're picking up the stuff, or just a conscious person. They will be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. And what's happened is you've brought that to the consciousness and they've received it. Okay, because our gift as a deep empath healer is that we hold a vibration that it is normal for us to pick up people's subconscious stuff. Okay, it is normal for us to pick up people's subconscious stuff. And with the open conscious person, not always. Some conscious people are not ready either. Okay, there's no set rules here. Is that they will receive that, it'll surface from their subconscious and they'll heal it, and they'll shift their life and change their life, because that's what we do as healers. We change people's life by them shifting through that. That makes sense. Now, the other person, back to person number one, what can happen is, number one, they're just so unconscious. They're like, you're fucking crazy, because that is not the truth. You're wrong, mate. Like, they will be really like, mate, she's crazy. And they will probably like leave your life and disappear and maybe talk about you, maybe not. It was just like, man, she's crazy. Because they're just not consciously ready to receive that of what's buried in their subconscious. They're not ready, right? Something else can happen to person one, is that they might say that, they're like, you're crazy, that's wrong, whatever, or whatever. They might just be like, whatever, it's like, and you keep going on and whatever. A couple of days later, a couple of weeks later, a couple of months later, then that starts to become conscious to that person, and they're like, oh, that's what they were talking about. That's what she was talking about. Oh, that's what that's about. It's like, oh, that's what she was talking about that time. Like, do you know what I mean? And so it can surface afterwards. Now, that person at that time might just be aware of it and be like, okay, yep, that's what it is. Or they might be like, okay, yeah, I need to work on that, right? So there's different scenarios that can play out there. Let me just check what you've written here, guys. So Leanne says, yeah, sends me absolutely crazy, because I'm like, I know I'm right, but I'm trying to accept what they are saying as truth. Yeah, and so you just have to remember that they're just, and this is where it comes into mastery of your intuitive gift. It is where it comes into mastery of who you are and your gift as a healer, as who you are. Like, this is where you step into mastery. This is where your gift, where you control your gift in your life, rather than you being flawed by everybody's subconscious. Because if you take into account what I just explained to you, and you're walking through the supermarket, through the shops, you're just going to festivals, whatever you do, right? You have to remember of what you guys just resonated with and what you pick up on people's subconscious when you're having a conversation with them, okay? But what you pick up, you are still picking up whether you're having a conversation with them or not. Do you understand that? And that's why people get flawed. That's why people get wiped. That's why they're like, oh my God, what's happening in my life? That's why I'm like, number one step is clearing your energy all the time. So the Clear and Activate pack, which is free on my website, realityawareness.com, can go there, the pink button, download the Clear and Activate pack, go through those trainings in there. There's 4 trainings, I think. There's some meditations. Those meditations will change your life, because they will literally pull out people's subconscious stuff from your energy. And if you're not doing that on a regular basis, you're going to be wiped, you're going to be flawed, tired, all the pieces, okay? What doing those meditations, and by the way, once you know what they are, you can do and listen to them while you're doing the dishes or hanging the washing out or whatever, okay? You can just listen to them. You don't need to be sitting there omming with them. I like to make things easy and make it work in real life for everyday use, because we don't turn our intuition off, okay? We don't turn our intuition off. We need to learn to live with it, and this is how we do. So step number 1 is clearing your energy, okay? number one, it gets all the stuff out of you that's not yours. Number two, it starts to strengthen your muscles so that you know if it's your energy or somebody else's. Because a lot of people that do this work, they don't know whose energy. They're not even conscious of that. They just feel terrible, okay? And so doing these meditations on a regular basis starts to distinguish your energy from somebody else's energy. And in that distinction and separation, those incidences, like we've just talked about on this live stream, with other people in a conversation or work or whatever it is, those scenarios are going to get less and less painful for you because you're going to be able to distinguish that this is you've just picked up their subconscious stuff. They're not ready to deal with it, and you're able to understand that and deal with that better rather than just going, I know I'm right, and as you say, it sends you crazy, but and you're trying to understand what they're saying. And so, and you can just, it is, because when you say, Leanne, I know I'm right, but I'm trying to accept what they are saying is truth, because what you have to understand is that is truth for them, because that's all they're conscious of in that moment. That is their truth. And you're picking up the next thing that's about to surface in a conscious truth for them. There's conscious truth and unconscious truth. Yeah? And if you take that example into a world scenario, you can really see that trying to wake up the sheeples, which again, I hate people saying that about people because come on, they're just unconscious people. And if you keep calling them sheep, you're putting them in a box that's going to keep them in the line to get on the truck to go to the fucking slaughterhouse. If you see them as sheep, they're going to stay sheep. If you see them as people that are about to become conscious, you're going to change the trajectory of humanity. Do you see how powerful this is? Just because it might not be their conscious truth, you're picking up the subconscious truth. And by clearing our energy and getting our energy clear and getting our understanding of our energy and distinguishing, that's the number one first step. If you want to get clear in what your spiritual gifts are, if you want to get clear in your purpose and your intuition and all that sort of thing, if you're not clearing your energy and working on your personal development every day to clear your energy and strengthen your intuitive organs, well, you're going to be still in kindergarten for the next 10 years, right? For example, I don't know where that came from. So Christina says, so what should we do when that happens? I always feel so exhausted after being with certain people or people in general. Okay, so hopefully what I just shared and just said answers that question. Because this is the thing, if you're not clearing your energy, right? In that Clear and Activate pack, I put it free for a reason. Okay, I put it free for a reason. There is no flippin' excuse, okay? You've got the internal compass chakra clearing. There's the clairsentient sponge clearing, and there's a shadow meditation, but there's also your star being guide. They're in there for a reason. Please make sure you go through them to start with. There's a reason that they're in there, and there's a reason that they're in there in a particular order, okay? There's different healing protocols, meaning different ways that you can use those meditations, and they help you in different scenarios and different situations, okay? When you can do those meditations on a daily basis, just as much as you have a shower, you should be doing these meditations as well. And in Trust Your Intuition, I teach you many other ways that we can do it in day-to-day life, because there's so many ways that you can do it, right? I'm just giving you a starting point. And so when you're clearing your energy, the reason that the shadow meditation is in there, okay? If you clear your energy and you're still not feeling good, obviously make sure you've had enough sleep, enough water, enough sunlight, enough exercise, healthy food, of course, right? Most important. But when you're still feeling like that after being drained by someone and in that sort of a scenario is, like I said, clear your energy. There's 2 meditations that do that. The shadow meditation is because why did I attract that person again? Why is that person come into my life? Why am I still feeling drained? You do the shadow meditation to figure out why. There is your answer right in there. And in the integration process, right, even if you're doing that 3 times with the same person, okay, you're starting to integrate the reason of why that is happening. So it starts to shift out of your field, and so you don't keep attracting that situation. Yeah, does that make sense? So just checking these comments. So Ashley said, this is the first time hearing and seeing you live, and I'm really happy I'm here. Perfect. Perfect. Makes so much sense. Yes. Accelerator, yes. So a Life Purpose Accelerator is open. There's only a couple more days, actually. Now, I've just come out of Transcendence Reality Society, and I just did a live stream in there because things are just got amplified with some massive downloads. Like, this is why I'm at the beach, because I've just had all these downloads this morning. If you saw my story like over the weekend and on Monday after Trust Intuition training, I'm like, man, the downloads were coming through thick and strong, and same again today. And I'm like, wow, this is like spiraling up and expanding to the next level in a way I didn't foresee coming. Even though I'm psychic, I didn't see this coming. And this is a big part of your life purpose. Like, if you don't take the first step, if you don't take the next step, a lot of people want to know their life purpose, but they won't know their life purpose until they master their energy about dealing with people like what we've just been talking about on this live stream. Understanding about clearing your energy. Like, if you want to become your intuition, if you want to step onto and come into complete alignment with your life purpose, you have to know your energy inside out. You have to understand your psychic gifts. You have to understand how your energy works when it's with somebody else. Now, I've just given you like a huge life-changing, massive, like reality altering gift on this free training here today, because understanding that you pick up people's subconscious, like, that is next level freaking off the hook, like, because that can like let go of so much confusion. You're not crazy, you're not too much, you're not any of those things. You are highly psychic, you are an extremely powerful intuitive empath, and you have a big purpose, and you're mastering these basic skills for a reason when you're in your everyday interactions, right? So the Life Purpose Accelerator, if you want the link to that, please comment accelerator below and I shall send you the link. It does close in a couple of days, and with everything I always change things, and I just feel that there's something else, I don't know, I'm like, what is that? But it's like Life Purpose Accelerator is like evolving into something. And as I said in Transcendence Reality Society, I'm like, you guys know, and if you were here in any of my early memberships or anything, I'm like, every time I have a recalibration, everything gets better. So I'm like, Life Purpose Accelerator, if it calls you, you'll want to jump in, and the doors close in a couple of days. So message me if you've got any questions about that. Christina says, yes, thank you, makes so much sense. Yes, exactly, right? So the Clear and Activate pack is at realityawareness.com, and it's the pink button. It's free. Like I said, please make sure you take the time to go through the training videos. Like I said, like, if you guys have found this informative, what I've just been sharing on live stream, when I do a proper recorded training, like for those meditations that are in the Clear and Activate pack, like, you will be blown away with how it all makes sense, right? Like, I am really passionate about taking spirituality and taking intuition and putting into a conscious understanding so that humans can awaken. Like, that is my purpose, right? So when you listen, and like I said, if I release a free training or if there's something and there's videos in there, like, you'll want to make the time to listen, watch. You know, I always say, if you can always listen while you're doing the dishes or whatever, right? Monique says, wow, didn't think about that. The whole putting them in the box changes our perspective about them. It does. And that's the same with anyone, right? And that's like, you know, if you look at abuse, it's like, it keeps them in that box, you know. And if we look at the world and the world stage, you know, it's why it breaks my heart sometimes when people are like, oh, these reptilians and this and that. And I'm like, what if everyone was human? You know, like, sure, maybe there's AIs and maybe there's robots and maybe there's freaking reptilians and dragons and freaking whatever. What if we remove the label and underneath it all, the light still shines? What if we're all connected to that point and we expand the light in that person? Like, what's going to happen then? Like, at some point, their subconscious is going to shake them awake, right? And when we can really understand that, we see how we hold humanity to awaken in such a different light, right? So you'll always hear me say, like, you won't find me at a war rally. You'll find me at a peace protest, right? It is literally like, what's the name? Mother Teresa's thing, right? Philosophy. So the shadow, so the shadow meditation, that's in the Clear and Activate pack, because we integrate the shadow meditation, like we integrate what's out there in our reality. Yeah, makes sense. Exactly. Yes. All right, is there anything else that I want to say about picking up the subconscious stuff? I thought there might have been something else there. So picking up the subconscious with a person. with your gift. Oh yeah, and so I guess the next thing about that is then trusting yourself. So a bit like Leanne said, you know, and you're like, it makes me crazy because I'm like, I know I'm right, but I'm trying to accept their truth. And now you understand how to accept their truth, right? It's their conscious truth. You're picking up the subconscious, the not conscious yet truth. And so then it comes to you trusting your intuition without confirmation. Now you'll always hear me say this as well. It's like, can you trust the intuition without waiting for the confirmation to come through about what you just received? That is where you step into your mastery. That is when you really step into your gift and what you're here to do on the planet, is when you really come into a place of trusting yourself without the confirmation. It is a skill. It does take practice, right? And this is why we do what we do in my courses, in my trainings, in, you know, Trust Intuition, is so that we can master these skills, is so that we can really get clear on our intuition and trust ourselves, right? On a really deep level. All right. So Nat says, what do we need to write in the comments? I'm just getting in the live all excited. So I would definitely rewatch this live stream, because if you really want to trust intuition or understand and amplify like your gift and how you pick up intuitive stuff all the time and how you pick up things and you get into arguments with people and all of a sudden you're like, what just happened here, because I was just speaking my truth, right? Is really about that point of trusting your intuition, but understanding your gift picks up so much of people's subconscious stuff. And it's how do you navigate that in a day-to-day basis, yeah? So if this has been helpful, or if you're watching the replay and you have got questions, just comment below. Share this with people that you think needs help in understanding and trusting their intuition, or if they're in a situation where they keep getting confused, this would be really helpful for them. If you've got any questions about Life Purpose Accelerator, send me a private message. Doors close later on this week and things are about to get amazingly better because I've been in a huge recalibration and I'm like, there it is. I love you guys. See you soon. Keeping it real as always.